The frozen wasteland of Lemnis Prime hides an unexpected discovery, a smooth-skinned alien, unconscious and nearly frozen to death. Xena, the imposing leader of a Lemnorian female scouting party, peers into the half-buried escape pod with a mix of revulsion and fascination. Her thick, scaly hide bristles against the biting wind as she signals to her companions. "Pry it open," she commands, her guttural voice carrying over the howling storm. The Lemnorians, their reptilian features contorted with effort, force the pod's hatch. Inside lies a creature unlike anything they've encountered, a human male, his skin pale and free of scales. Xena's initial disgust at his alien appearance slowly gives way to intrigue as she notices his muscular physique. "We take him back," she decides, her eyes never leaving the unconscious form. "The elders will want to study this thing." As they transport the human through the blinding snow, Xena's mind races. This creature could be a threat, a potential invader from the stars, or perhaps a valuable source of information about the universe beyond their icy world. The settlement looms ahead, a collection of sturdy structures built to withstand Lemnis Prime's harsh climate. The Lemnorians carry their prize to a specially designed habitat, carefully adjusting the temperature to slowly warm the alien's body. Hours pass. Xena stands guard, her eyes fixed on the stirring human. Suddenly, his eyes snap open, wide with terror, as he takes in his monstrous captors. He lunges for the habitat's exit, but Xena easily subdues him, her superior strength evident as she pins him down. "Be still, alien," she growls, activating a crude translation device. "We mean you no harm. For now." The human, still weak from his ordeal, ceases his struggles. "My name is Adam Shaw," he manages, his voice hoarse. "I'm from Earth, my ship. Destroyed in orbit. I'm the only survivor." Xena processes this information, her reptilian features unreadable. "Earth? A spacefaring race?" Adam nods, his eyes darting between Xena and the other Lemnorians. "We have advanced technology. We're explorers, not conquerors." This revelation sends ripples of concern through the gathered Lemnorians. Xena feels the weight of responsibility settling on her broad shoulders. She must report this to the elders immediately. As she turns to leave, Adam calls out, "Wait, your planet. I noticed something during my descent. You have deposits of a rare mineral. It's crucial for faster-than-light travel. Earth needs it. We could trade." Xena pauses, her mind racing. This information could change everything. The elders were already debating the human's fate, execution to prevent contact with his people, or use him as a bargaining chip. Now, with the prospect of valuable resources at stake, the situation becomes even more complex. She looks back at Adam, seeing him in a new light. No longer just a repulsive alien, he represents opportunity and danger in equal measure. As she leaves to consult with the elders, Xena realizes she's become the pivotal figure in a delicate dance that will determine not only Adam's fate, but the future of both their species. The icy winds of Lemnis Prime howl outside, oblivious to the momentous events unfolding within the settlement's walls. The ugly alien girls have found their freezing human, and nothing will ever be the same again. As the gravity of Adam's revelation sinks in, Xena finds herself torn between duty and curiosity. She leaves the habitat, her mind racing with the potential implications of this alien's presence on Lemnis Prime. Days pass, and Adam's initial fear gives way to a growing fascination with his reptilian captors. He observes their powerful bodies, the way light glints off their iridescent scales, and finds an unexpected beauty in their alien features. Xena, tasked with gathering intelligence, spends increasingly long periods in Adam's company. During one of their conversations, Adam asks about Lemnorian society. Xena's eyes narrow, but she decides to indulge his curiosity. "We value strength and skill," she explains, her voice a low rumble. "The best hunters lead. Our hierarchy is based on prowess in battle and the ability to provide for our people." Adam nods, absorbing this information. "And your planet? I noticed some unusual climate patterns during my descent." Xena hesitates, then admits, "Our ice caps are melting at an alarming rate. It threatens our way of life." This revelation sparks an idea in Adam's mind, but before he can pursue it, Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of Kraz, a towering male Lemnorian with battle scars, crisscrossing his scales. Kraz glares at Adam, his voice dripping with disdain. "Why do you waste time with this weak creature, Xena? He should be eliminated before he brings more of his kind here." Xena bristles at the challenge. "The elders have not yet decided his fate, Kraz. Stand down." The tension in the room is palpable as Kraz leaves, his hostile gaze lingering on Adam. Weeks pass, and Adam's presence continues to divide the Lemnorian community. Some, like Xena, see potential in learning from the human. Others, led by Kraz, view him as a threat to their way of life. One day, during a supervised excursion to study Lemnorian flora, Adam accidentally stumbles upon a hidden valley. The air thrums with an otherworldly energy, and intricate ice sculptures dot the landscape. Adam's eyes widen as he realizes he's entered a sacred space. Before he can retreat, a group of Lemnorians spots him. Their outraged cries echo through the valley. "Intruder! He has defiled the breeding grounds!" Adam raises his hands in surrender, but the damage is done. News of his transgression spreads like wildfire through the settlement. The conservative elders demand his immediate execution. As night falls, Xena makes a decision that will change both their lives forever. She enters Adam's habitat, her eyes darting nervously. "We must leave now," she hisses. "The elders have ordered your death." Adam doesn't hesitate. He follows Xena into the biting cold of the Lemnorian night. They move swiftly, Xena's knowledge of the terrain guiding them through treacherous ice fields and howling wind. As dawn breaks, they hear the distant roar of frost stalkers, apex predators of Lemnis Prime. Xena tenses, reaching for her weapon, but Adam puts a hand on her arm. "Wait," he whispers. "I have an idea." Using materials scavenged from the landscape, Adam constructs a primitive trap. When the frost stalkers attack, his quick thinking and earth survival skills complement Xena's raw strength. Together, they drive off the fearsome creatures. Xena looks at Adam with newfound respect. "Perhaps there is more to your species than I first thought." As they continue their journey, Adam shares his knowledge about the rare mineral he discovered on Lemnis Prime. "This could be the key to solving both our problems," he explains. "It could provide clean energy for Earth and help stabilize your planet's climate." Xena's eyes widen as she considers the possibilities. A mutually beneficial alliance. Their progress is suddenly halted by a vast crevasse stretching as far as the eye can see. Behind them, they hear the unmistakable sounds of a hunting party. Kraz and his followers are in pursuit. Adam and Xena exchange glances, knowing they must find a way across the treacherous gap before their pursuers catch up. The challenge ahead will test not only their physical abilities, but also the newfound trust between human and Lemnorian. As Adam and Xena stood at the edge of the vast crevasse, the sounds of pursuit growing louder, a familiar voice cut through the howling wind. "There they are!" Kraz's guttural roar echoed across the icy expanse. Xena's scales bristled as she turned to face the approaching hunting party. Adam tensed beside her, his mind racing for a solution to their predicament. "We're trapped," Xena hissed, her eyes darting between the crevasse and the advancing Lemnorians. Adam's gaze locked onto Kraz, who stood at the forefront of the group, his massive frame radiating hostility. In that moment, an idea sparked in the human's mind. A risky move, but one that might just save them both. "Kraz!" Adam called out, his voice carrying over the wind. "I challenge you to a duel." The hunting party halted, surprised by the alien's bold proclamation. Kraz's eyes narrowed, a mix of contempt and curiosity flickering across his reptilian features. "You dare challenge me, weakling?" Kraz snarled, his hand tightening around his ice spear. Xena whirled to face Adam, her expression a mix of shock and concern. "What are you doing?" she whispered urgently. "He'll tear you apart." Adam met her gaze, his willpower evident. "It's our only chance," he murmured. "If I can earn their respect, maybe we can avoid bloodshed." Kraz stomped forward, his massive form towering over Adam. "I accept your challenge, alien," he growled, a cruel smile playing across his scaled lips. "When I defeat you, your fate will be sealed." The other Lemnorians formed a loose circle around them, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. Xena reluctantly stepped back, her clawed hands clenched at her sides. "The duel will take place on the frozen lake," Kraz announced, gesturing to a broad expanse of ice nearby. "We fight with ice spears, as is our tradition." Adam nodded, accepting the terms. As a Lemnorian handed him a long, serrated spear, he felt its weight and unfamiliarity. The biting cold of Lemnis Prime seeped into his bones, a stark reminder of the disadvantage he faced. The two combatants made their way onto the frozen lake, their footsteps crunching on the icy surface. Adam's breath came out in visible puffs, while Kraz seemed unaffected by the frigid air. "Begin!" shouted one of the Lemnorians, and Kraz lunged forward with surprising speed. Adam barely managed to dodge the first thrust, the serrated edge of Kraz's spear whistling past his ear. He stumbled backward, struggling to find his footing on the slick surface. Kraz pressed his advantage, raining down a series of powerful blows that Adam could only deflect or evade. The human's agility kept him from serious harm, but he knew he couldn't keep this up forever. As the duel progressed, Adam began to notice patterns in Kraz's attacks. The Lemnorian relied heavily on his superior strength, leaving small openings in his defense. With careful timing, Adam managed to land a glancing blow on Kraz's arm, drawing a thin line of dark blood. The assembled Lemnorians murmured in surprise, and Kraz's eyes blazed with fury. He redoubled his efforts, his attacks becoming more frenzied. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed across the lake. Adam felt the ice shift beneath his feet and realized the danger they were in. "Wait!" he called out, raising his hand. "The ice is breaking!" Kraz, consumed by his desire to win, ignored the warning and charged forward. As he did, the ice gave way beneath them with a thunderous sound. Adam plunged into the freezing water, the shock of it driving the air from his lungs. He fought against the instinct to gasp, knowing that doing so would mean certain death. Through the murky water, he saw Kraz thrashing nearby, the Lemnorian's powerful body ill-suited for swimming. Fighting against the numbing cold, Adam forced himself to move. He grabbed Kraz's arm and kicked hard, propelling them both toward the surface. They broke through with a splash, gasping for air. The other Lemnorians stood at the edge of the broken ice, their expressions a mix of fear and uncertainty. Xena called out, "Adam! Kraz! Can you make it to the edge?" Adam nodded, too breathless to speak. With powerful strokes, he swam towards solid ice, pulling the struggling Kraz alongside him. The Lemnorian's movements were sluggish, his species' vulnerability to extreme cold evident. As they neared the edge, Adam summoned the last of his strength and heaved Kraz onto the solid ice. The assembled Lemnorians quickly pulled their leader to safety. Adam hauled himself out of the water, his limbs shaking uncontrollably from the cold. Xena rushed to Adam's side, her eyes wide with a mixture of relief and amazement. "You saved him," she said, her voice filled with awe. "You could have left him to drown." Adam managed a weak smile through chattering teeth. "That's not who we are," he stammered. Kraz, recovering from his near-drowning experience, stared at Adam with a newfound respect. The hostility in his eyes had been replaced by something akin to grudging admiration. "You fight with honor, alien," Kraz rumbled, his voice still rough from coughing up water. "And you have strength I did not expect." The other Lemnorians murmured in agreement, their perception of the human shifting before Adam's eyes. Even those who had been most hostile now looked at him with curiosity rather than contempt. As Xena helped Adam to his feet, she turned to address the hunting party. "We must return to the settlement," she declared. "The elders need to hear of what has happened here." Kraz nodded slowly, his earlier bloodlust seemingly forgotten. "Agreed. The human has earned the right to plead his case." As the group began their journey back to the Lemnorian settlement, Adam found himself walking alongside Xena. Despite the lingering cold and the uncertainty of what lay ahead, he felt a glimmer of hope. "Thank you," Xena said softly, her eyes meeting his, "for showing us that there is more to your species than we first believed." Adam nodded, a small smile playing at his lips. As they trudged through the snow, he began to see the Lemnorians in a new light. The features he had once found repulsive now held a certain alien beauty, a testament to their species' adaptation to this harsh world. The twin moons of Lemnis Prime cast an ethereal glow over the icy landscape as the unlikely group made their way back to the settlement. With each step, Adam realized that this was just the beginning of a much larger journey, one that could reshape the future of both their species, and potentially reshape the future of both their worlds. As they approached the settlement, Adam felt a mix of anticipation and trepidation. The Lemnorians' acceptance of him was tenuous at best, and he knew the real challenge was yet to come. The elders convened a council to hear Adam's case. As he stood before them, explaining his discoveries and the potential for cooperation between their species, he could see the doubt and skepticism in their eyes. Despite Kraz's newfound respect and Xena's unwavering support, it was clear that many Lemnorians still viewed him with suspicion. After hours of deliberation, the elders reached a decision. Human, the eldest among them spoke, his voice gravelly with age. We have decided to put you to the test. You will undergo the Lemnian survival trial, as all our young do when they come of age. If you succeed, we will consider your proposals. Adam nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. He had one chance to prove himself worthy of the Lemnorians' trust. As dawn broke the next day, Adam found himself at the edge of the settlement, facing the vast, unforgiving wilderness of Lemnis Prime. The biting cold cut through his thermal suit, a stark reminder of the challenges ahead. Xena approached him, her eyes filled with concern. The trial is dangerous, even for Lemnorians, she warned. Be cautious, Adam, and take this. She pressed a small, crystalline object into his hand. It contains information about our flora and fauna. Use it wisely. Adam smiled gratefully, tucking the crystal into a secure pocket. With a final nod to Xena, he set off into the frozen landscape. The first day tested Adam's endurance to its limits. The terrain was treacherous, with hidden crevasses and shifting ice fields. He drew upon his survival training, fashioning crude insulation from the local vegetation to supplement his suit's warmth. As night fell, Adam huddled in a makeshift shelter, his body aching from the day's exertions. He activated Xena's crystal, studying the information it contained. The alien flora and fauna were unlike anything he'd encountered, but he began to see patterns, identifying potential food sources and dangers. The second day brought new challenges. A fierce wind whipped across the icy plains, reducing visibility to mere meters. Adam trudged on, his dedication unwavering. Suddenly, he heard a sound. A cry of distress carried on the wind. Following the noise, Adam came across a young Lemnorian female trapped in a crevasse. Her scaled skin was pale, her movement sluggish from the cold. Without hesitation, Adam carefully made his way down to her. I'm here to help, he said, extending his hand. The young Lemnorian eyed him warily, but grasped his arm, allowing him to pull her to safety. I am Zira, she introduced herself, her voice trembling slightly. You are the human they speak of in the settlement. Adam nodded, offering her some of the emergency rations he'd packed. As they shared the meager meal, Zira explained that she too was undergoing her coming-of-age trial. Their conversation was cut short by a sudden drop in temperature. The wind howled with increased ferocity, heralding the approach of an ice storm. We need shelter. Fast, Zira said, her eyes scanning the barren landscape. Working together, they quickly constructed a shelter using techniques from both their cultures. Adam's experience with Earth survival gear, combined with Zira's knowledge of Lemnian ice formations, created a sturdy refuge from the storm. As they huddled in their shelter, waiting out the tempest, Adam and Zira shared stories of their respective worlds. The young Lemnorian's curiosity about Earth was insatiable, and Adam found himself seeing his own planet through new eyes, as he described it to her. The storm raged for hours, but within their shelter, a seed of understanding and cooperation began to grow. When the winds finally died down, Adam and Zira emerged to find the landscape transformed by the storm. We should continue together, Zira suggested. 2 sets of eyes are better than 1 in this terrain. Adam agreed, recognizing the wisdom in her words. As they set off across the newly formed ice fields, he couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. If he and Zira could work together so effectively, perhaps there was a chance for broader cooperation between their species. Little did Adam know that back at the settlement, His actions were causing ripples of change and conflict. Xena found herself facing increasing scrutiny for her support of the human. As she walked through the communal areas, she could feel the weight of disapproving stares. "Xena!" a voice boomed across the gathering space. She turned to see Grack, one of the most vocal isolationist elders, approaching with a group of supporters. "You have gone too far in your support of this alien. Your actions threaten our very way of life." Xena stood her ground, her scales overflowing with indignation. "The human offers us knowledge and possibilities we have never considered, Grack. How can we turn our backs on potential solutions to our planet's crisis?" The confrontation quickly escalated into a heated debate, drawing in more Lemnorians. The community became divided, with younger members generally supporting Xena's openness to new ideas, while older generations rallied behind Grack's call to preserve their traditions. As the argument raged on, a group of extremist Lemnorians slipped away from the settlement unnoticed. Led by a charismatic warrior named Vex, they were determined to eliminate the human threat once and for all. "We cannot allow this alien to succeed," Vex hissed to his followers as they tracked Adam's trail across the icy waste. "If he completes the trial, it will undermine everything we hold sacred. We must ensure he meets with an unfortunate accident." As Vex and his group ventured deeper into the wilderness, Adam and Zira continued their journey, unaware of the danger approaching. Their path led them to a series of ice-covered hills, where an unexpected discovery awaited them. As they crested a particularly steep incline, Adam noticed an unusual formation in the distance. "Zira, look," he pointed. "Does that seem natural to you?" Zira squinted, her eyes better adapted to the glare of sunlight. "On ice." "No," she replied, her voice tinged with awe. "That's no natural formation. It's a ruin." Excitement coursed through Adam as they approached the ancient structure. The melting ice caps had exposed what appeared to be the remains of a long-buried city. As they drew closer, Adam could make out intricate designs etched into the weathered stone, unmistakably the product of an advanced civilization. "This is incredible," Adam breathed, running his hand over the alien symbols. "Zira, do you know anything about this?" The young Lemnorian shook her head, her eyes wide with wonder. "Nothing in our history speaks of such a place. This changes everything we thought we knew about our past." As they ventured deeper into the ruins, Adam's scientific curiosity took over. He began documenting everything he saw, his mind racing with the implications of their discovery. The architecture and technology they encountered spoke of a Lemnorian civilization far more advanced than the current one that had clearly had contact with other species. Their exploration led them to a central chamber where Adam's outstretched hand accidentally triggered an ancient mechanism. A sudden hum filled the air, and dormant consoles flickered to life around them. "Adam, look out!" Zira cried, pulling him back as a holographic display burst into existence before them. The hollow image showed star maps and what appeared to be records of interstellar travel. Adam's heart raced as he realized the magnitude of their discovery. This could potentially reshape not just Lemnorian society, but the future of both their worlds. As Adam and Zira stood transfixed by the ancient technology, they were unaware of the multiple groups now converging on their location. Vex and his extremists approached from one direction, while a search party led by a concerned Xena came from another. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the future of human Lemnorian relations, with Adam and Zira caught in the middle, guardians of a secret that could change everything. Everything. As Adam and Zira stood transfixed by the ancient technology, a tremor shook the ground beneath their feet. The ice around the ruins began to fracture, sending spiderweb cracks across the floor. "We need to get out of here," Zira shouted, her voice tinged with panic. But Adam's mind was racing. He glanced from the holographic display to the cracks spreading beneath them, his scientific mind making rapid connections. "Wait," he said, grabbing Zira's arm. "I think I can use this technology to stabilize the ice." Just then, shouts echoed through the ruins. Xena burst into the chamber, followed closely by a group of Lemnorians. "Adam, we need to leave now," she called out. But Adam was already moving, his fingers flying over the ancient control panel. "Xena, I need your help. This system might be able to reinforce the ice structure." Xena hesitated for a moment, then rushed to his side. As they worked together, deciphering the alien interface, more Lemnorians entered the chamber. Among them was Vex, his eyes narrowing as he took in the scene. "Stop them!" Vex shouted to his followers. "They'll destroy everything." The chamber erupted into chaos as Vex's group clashed with Xena's supporters. Adam remained focused on the control panel, his heart racing as the ice continued to fracture around them. "There!" Adam exclaimed, pressing a final sequence of symbols. A low hum filled the air, and a pulse of energy rippled out from the ruins. The cracking of ice slowed, then stopped entirely. For a moment, everyone stood frozen, waiting to see if the cavern would collapse around them. When nothing happened, a collective sigh of relief echoed through the chamber. Vex, who had been poised to attack Adam, lowered his weapon slowly. What did you do?" he asked, his voice a mixture of awe and suspicion. "I activated the ruins' energy systems," Adam explained, his eyes still on the holographic display. "It emitted a low-frequency pulse that's reinforcing the ice structure. We're safe for now." The Lemnorians looked at each other, their earlier hostility giving way to curiosity. Even Vex seemed taken aback by the humans' quick thinking. As the tension in the room dissipated, Xena approached Adam. "That was incredible," she said softly. "How did you know it would work?" Adam shrugged, a small smile playing at his lips. "I didn't, but I had a hunch based on what we've seen of this technology so far." With the immediate danger past, the group began to explore the newly accessible areas of the ruins. Adam and Xena took the lead, their earlier teamwork evolving into a seamless partnership as they deciphered the ancient Lemnorian systems. As they delved deeper into the complex, holographic records sprang to life around them. Adam's eyes widened as he recognized familiar shapes among the alien forms. "Xena, look at this," he said, pointing to a particular image. "That's a human, an ancient human." Xena leaned in closer, her scales shimmering in the holographic light. "But how is that possible? Our histories don't mention any contact with your species." As they continued to explore the records, a picture began to emerge of a shared past that neither species had been aware of. The ancient Lemnorians had not only been an advanced spacefaring civilization, but they had also interacted with early humans. News of their discoveries spread quickly through the Lemnorian settlement. The elders, including Grak, were forced to reconsider their isolationist stance in light of the new evidence. The younger generation, inspired by Adam's actions and the revelations about their past, began to push for more open dialogue with humans. As Adam and Xena's exploration led them deeper into the ruins, they came across a sealed chamber. The door was massive, made of a material that seemed to resist all their attempts to open it. "If we could just find the right combination," Adam muttered, studying the symbols etched into the door's surface. Xena placed her hand on the door, her claws tracing the patterns. "These symbols, they're similar to an old Lemnorian script. I think I can decipher part of it." Working together, they combined Adam's problem-solving skills with Xena's knowledge of Lemnorian language. Slowly, the door began to respond to their efforts. With a groan of ancient mechanisms coming to life, the chamber opened, revealing a repository of advanced Lemnorian technology. Among the artifacts, a particular device caught Adam's eye. It was spherical, covered in intricate patterns that pulsed with a soft blue light. "This looks like it could be a terraforming device," Adam said, carefully lifting the sphere. "If we can figure out how to use it, it might offer a solution to both Lemnis Prime's ecological crisis and Earth's energy problems." As they examined the device, Adam became acutely aware of Xena's proximity. Their hands brushed as they turned the sphere over, sending an unexpected thrill through him. He looked up, meeting Xena's eyes, and saw a reflection of his own feelings there. For a moment, the physical and emotional barriers between them seemed to crumble. Adam found himself marveling at the alien beauty of Xena's scales, the intelligence in her eyes. Xena, in turn, felt a newfound appreciation for the human's resourcefulness and courage. Their faces drew closer, the moment charged with possibility. But before anything could happen, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the chamber. A joint human-Lemnorian research team, led by Dr. Alara Chen and Zorn, a respected Lemnorian scholar, entered the room. The moment between Adam and Xena passed, but the connection they had formed remained. As the research team began to study the ruins and the newly discovered technology, Adam and Xena exchanged a look of shared understanding. They both knew that their growing feelings, however unexpected, could be the key to bridging the gap between their species. But as work on understanding the ancient technology progressed, new challenges arose. A faction of Lemnorians, still skeptical of human intentions, began to gather outside the ruins. Their angry voices carried through the complex, demanding that the humans be expelled and the technology be placed under Lemnorian control. Adam, Xena, and their allies found themselves facing a difficult choice. They had to find a way to protect the ruins and the terraforming device while maintaining the fragile peace between humans and Lemnorians. As night fell on Lemnis Prime, Adam stood at the entrance of the ruins, looking out at the gathering crowd. He knew that the coming hours would be crucial, not just for the future of human-Lemnorian relations, but for the fate of both their worlds. Xena joined him, her presence a comforting warmth at his side. "Whatever happens," she said softly, "we face it together." Adam nodded, drawing strength from her words. As they prepared to address the crowd, he realized that this was just the beginning of a much larger challenge. The real test lay ahead, navigating the complex political landscape, balancing the interests of both species, and protecting the ancient technology that could save both their worlds. Adam took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders as he faced the agitated crowd. The air was thick with tension, and he could feel the weight of countless eyes upon him. Xena stood by his side, her presence a source of strength and comfort. "I have a proposal," Adam announced, his voice carrying across the gathering, one that could demonstrate the potential of human-Lemnorian cooperation. The crowd fell silent, curiosity momentarily overriding their hostility. Adam seized the opportunity, outlining his plan to use the newly discovered terraforming device on a nearby glacier. As he spoke, he could see the skepticism in many eyes begin to waver, replaced by a cautious interest. "This experiment could show us how to restore ecological balance to Lemnis Prime," Adam concluded. "It's a chance to witness firsthand what we can achieve together." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. After a tense moment, representatives from both factions stepped forward, agreeing to witness the demonstration. The standoff dissipated, replaced by an uneasy truce. Over the next few days, Adam and Xena worked tirelessly alongside Dr. Alara Chen and Zorn to prepare the terraforming device. The human scientist's methodical approach complemented the Lemnorians' intuitive understanding of their world's ecosystem, creating an efficient, if unlikely, team. As they worked, Adam couldn't help but notice the growing ease between himself and Xena. Their movements became synchronized, anticipating each other's needs without a word. More than once, he caught Dr. Chen watching them with a mixture of fascination and concern. The day of the demonstration dawned clear and cold. A large crowd had gathered at the test site, a mix of humans and Lemnorians bundled against the biting wind. Adam and Xena stood before the terraforming device, its intricate patterns pulsing with soft blue light. "Ready?" Adam asked, his hand hovering over the activation panel. Xena nodded, her scales shimmering with anticipation. "Together," she replied. They pressed their hands to the panel in unison. The device hummed to life, emitting a pulsating energy field that enveloped the glacier. For a moment, nothing happened. Then before their eyes, the ice began to stabilize. Cracks sealed themselves, and the surface grew smooth and solid. But it didn't stop there. As the crowd watched in awe, tiny green shoots began to emerge from the once barren ground. Within minutes, a carpet of vegetation had sprouted, defying the harsh conditions. The demonstration's success had an immediate impact. Many of the skeptical Lemnorians, including some who had followed Vex, began to discuss the potential benefits of cooperation with humans. However, Adam noticed Grack and a small group of hardliners withdrawing from the main crowd, their expressions dark with suspicion. In the days that followed, a series of diplomatic meetings were held to discuss the future of human-Lemnorian relations. Adam and Xena found themselves at the center of these negotiations. their unique perspectives making them invaluable mediators. During a break in the talks, Adam and Xena slipped away to a secluded ice cave, seeking a moment of privacy. "I never expected any of this when I came to Lemnis Prime," Adam said, his breath misting in the cold air. Xena moved closer, her scales reflecting the ethereal blue light of the ice. "Nor did I when I first met you, human," she replied, a hint of amusement in her voice. Their eyes met, and the air between them seemed to crackle with energy. Without conscious thought, they drew closer, their physiological differences forgotten in the face of their growing attraction. Their lips met in a kiss that was both alien and thrilling, a perfect encapsulation of the bridge they were building between their species. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the cave. Ice cracked and shifted around them, and a deafening roar filled the air. Adam grabbed Xena's hand, pulling her towards the entrance as chunks of ice began to fall from the ceiling. They burst out of the cave just as it collapsed behind them, gasping in the frigid air. All around them, the glacier was shifting and breaking apart. The terraforming experiment, Xena realized, her eyes wide. It must have destabilized the surrounding ice formations. Adam's mind raced. If this continues, it could threaten both the ruins and your settlement. They rushed back to the base camp, where they found Dr. Chen already formulating a plan. "We can use the terraforming device to reinforce the ice structures," she explained rapidly. "But we need to place it at the epicenter of the instability." Adam understood the implications immediately. "That's a suicide mission in these conditions," he said. Dr. Chen nodded grimly. "For a Lemnorian, yes, but a human might stand a chance." Without hesitation, Adam stepped forward. "I'll do it." Xena's clawed hand gripped his arm. "Not alone," she said firmly. "We do this together." As they prepared for the perilous mission, Adam couldn't help but marvel at how far they had come. What had started as a scientific expedition had become something far more profound, with the potential to reshape the future of both their species. With the terraforming device secured to Adam's back, he and Xena set out across the treacherous ice fields. The ground shook beneath their feet, and chasms opened up without warning. They moved as one, their earlier intimacy translating into perfect coordination in the face of danger. Behind them, an unlikely alliance was forming. Vex and his followers joined the human scientists in evacuating the endangered areas, their shared purpose beginning to erode years of prejudice and mistrust. As Adam and Xena neared the epicenter of the instability, they found their path blocked by a massive crevasse. The ice groaned and shifted around them, a constant reminder of the urgency of their mission. "We have to find a way across," Adam shouted over the din of cracking ice. "Any ideas?" Xena scanned the shifting landscape, her keen eyes searching for a solution. Time was running out, and the fate of both their peoples hung in the balance. As another tremor shook the glacier, they knew they had to act fast or risk losing everything they had fought so hard to achieve. As another tremor shook the glacier, they knew they had to act fast or risk losing everything they had fought so hard to protect. Xena's eyes darted across the crevasse, her keen vision searching for any possible crossing point. "There," she said, pointing to a narrow ice bridge spanning the chasm. "It's our only chance." Adam nodded, his mind already racing with ideas. "We'll need to secure ourselves. I think I can fashion a makeshift harness and rope system from our equipment." Working quickly, Adam repurposed their gear into a rudimentary climbing setup. He drew on his experience from rock climbing. Back on Earth, his fingers moving with practiced efficiency despite the biting cold. Meanwhile, Xena identified the most stable ice formations on their side of the crevasse. Using her superior Lemnorian strength, she drove anchors deep into the ice, creating secure attachment points for their improvised safety line. "Ready?" Adam asked, double-checking the knots. Xena nodded, her scales shimmering with commitment. "Let's do this." They began their perilous traverse, with Adam taking the lead. The ice bridge creaked ominously beneath their feet, barely wider than their shoulders. Each step was a calculated risk, the yawning abyss below a constant reminder of the stakes. Halfway across, a violent tremor rocked the glacier. The ice bridge shuddered, and a large section in front of Adam suddenly crumbled away. He lost his footing, plummeting towards the depths below. "Adam!" Xena cried out, her reflexes kicking in instantly. She lunged forward, her clawed hands shooting out to grasp Adam's arm. For a heart-stopping moment, he dangled over the abyss, his life literally in Xena's hands. With a grunt of exertion, Xena began to pull Adam up. Her muscles strained against the weight, but her grip never wavered. As Adam scrambled back onto the remaining ice bridge, their eyes met, a wordless exchange of gratitude and renewed commitment passing between them. They pressed on, each step more treacherous than the last. When they finally reached the other side, both collapsed onto solid ground, gasping for breath. We made it," Adam panted, his body trembling from the adrenaline and cold. Xena nodded, but her eyes narrowed with concern as she looked at her human companion. "Adam, your skin, it's turning blue." The exertion and exposure to the extreme cold were taking their toll on Adam's human physiology. His teeth chattered uncontrollably, and his movements became sluggish. Without hesitation, Xena moved closer, enveloping Adam in her arms. Her scales, naturally insulated against the cold, began to warm his chilled skin. It was an intimate act, born of necessity, but charged with the growing connection between them. Thank you," Adam stammered, gradually feeling warmth return to his limbs. They stayed like that for several minutes until Adam's condition improved enough for them to continue. As they approached the epicenter of the instability, a new problem became apparent. "The device," Adam said, his voice filled with dismay. The terraforming technology had been damaged during their treacherous journey, its delicate components jarred out of alignment. Xena examined the device, her fingers tracing the ancient Lemnorian symbols. "We can fix this," she said with willpower. "Your engineering knowledge combined with my understanding of our ancestors' technology, we can make it work." They set to work, Adam's human problem-solving skills complementing Xena's intuitive grasp of the device's function. Together they began to repair and recalibrate the terraforming technology, adapting it to its new purpose of stabilizing the ice structures. As they worked, the ground continued to shake beneath them, a constant reminder of the urgency of their task. Sweat beaded on Adam's brow despite the cold, his fingers moving with practiced precision as he reconnected delicate circuits. Finally, after what felt like hours of painstaking work, the device hummed to life. Its intricate patterns began to pulse with energy, more intense than before. "It's working," Adam exclaimed, a smile of triumph spreading across his face. But their elation was short-lived. As the device emitted a powerful energy pulse that began to reinforce the surrounding ice, an unexpected feedback loop formed. The terraforming technology started to overheat, its casing growing hot to the touch. "This isn't right," Adam said, his eyes widening with alarm. "The energy output is too high. If we don't modulate it manually, the whole thing could melt down." Xena's expression hardened as she realized the implications. "Manually modulating it would expose us to dangerous levels of radiation," she said. Before Adam could respond, Xena stepped forward. "I'll do it," she said firmly. "My physiology is more resistant to radiation than yours." Adam grabbed her arm, his face a mask of concern. "Xena, no. It's too dangerous. There has to be another way." Xena placed her hand on Adam's cheek, her touch gentle despite her claws. "There isn't time for another solution. This is the only way to save both our peoples." Their eyes met, 1,000 unspoken words passing between them. Then, in a surge of emotion, they came together in a passionate embrace. Their lips met, the kiss a declaration of everything they had come to mean to each other. As they parted, Xena's scales shimmered with a mix of perseverance and something deeper, more profound. Without another word, she turned and approached the overheating device, her steps unwavering. Adam watched, his heart in his throat, as Xena began the dangerous process of stabilizing the terraforming technology. He activated their communication equipment, relaying data back to the base camp, where Dr. Chen and Zorn waited anxiously. "We're receiving your signal," Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "Xena, listen carefully. You'll need to adjust the energy flow in precise increments." As Xena worked to modulate the device's output, Adam provided constant support, reading out measurements and relaying instructions. The minutes stretched on, each one feeling like an eternity as Xena's exposure to the radiation increased. Finally, the device's energy signature stabilized. The pulsing light settled into a steady glow, and the tremors beneath their feet began to subside. "You did it," Adam breathed, relief washing over him. But as he turned to Xena, his relief turned to horror. She stood swaying, her scales discolored, and her breathing labored. As Adam rushed to her side, Xena collapsed into his arms. "Xena," Adam cried out, cradling her limp form. "Stay with me. Please, stay with me." Around them, the ice continued to solidify, the immediate crisis averted. But for Adam, a new, more personal emergency had just begun. He knew he had to get Xena back to the settlement for medical treatment, and fast. With commitment born of desperation, Adam carefully lifted Xena onto his shoulders. The terraforming device, its work complete, he left behind. Every step across the now stable but still treacherous ice field was a battle against exhaustion and the unforgiving cold. As he trudged on, pushing his human endurance to its limits, Adam activated their distress beacon. It was a high-stakes endeavor, but their only hope for survival now lay in the hands of others. Miles away, in both the human research base and the Lemnorian settlement, the distress signal was received. Alarms blared, and a flurry of activity erupted as both species prepared for a joint rescue mission. Dr. Chen and Zorn, unlikely allies united by crisis, began to assemble a team equipped with advanced medical technology and specialized vehicles designed for Lemnis Prime's harsh terrain. As the rescue team prepared to depart, a new complication arose. Sensors detected unusual movement deep within the glacier. Something had awakened in the ice, stirred by the energy pulses of the terraforming device. Unaware of this new threat, Adam continued his grueling journey across the ice fields. Xena's unconscious form a precious burden on his shoulders. Each step was a test of will, his muscles screaming in protest, but he refused to give up. In the distance, the rescue team's vehicles roared to life, beginning their race against time. But as they set out across the glacier, the ice beneath them began to crack and shift in ways that had nothing to do with the previous instability. Deep in the heart of the glacier, ancient eyes opened, awakening to a world changed. Creatures long thought extinct began to stir, their dormancy ended by the pulses of energy that had saved the ice structures. As Adam struggled on, unaware of the new danger emerging around him, and the rescue team pressed forward into the unknown, the stage was set for a confrontation that would challenge the newfound alliance between humans and Lemnorians in ways they could never have imagined. As Adam trudged across the ice, his muscles burning with every step, he remained unaware of the new danger stirring beneath the frozen surface. The weight of Xena's unconscious form on his shoulders seemed to grow heavier with each passing moment, but he pressed on, driven by a singular purpose: to save her life. Miles behind him, the rescue team's vehicles roared to life, their engines echoing across the vast expanse of ice. Dr. Chen and Zorn sat side by side in the lead vehicle, an unlikely pair united by the urgency of their mission. As they sped across the glacier, the first signs of trouble appeared. A loud crack resounded through the air, and the ice beneath their vehicle shifted ominously. Dr. Chen slammed on the brakes, bringing the convoy to a halt. "What was that?" she asked, her voice tight with tension. Zorn leaned forward, his scaled fingers tracing patterns on the windshield as he peered into the gloom. "I'm not sure, but—" His words were cut short as something large and translucent burst from the ice just meters ahead of them. The creature resembled a monstrous arthropod, its multiple limbs adapted for traversing the icy terrain. Its body was nearly transparent, allowing them to see the intricate network of organs pulsing within. As it reared up, towering over their vehicle, Dr. Chen's breath caught in her throat. "Glacial stalkers," Zorn whispered, his eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. "I thought they were extinct." The glacial stalker let out a piercing shriek, and more of its kind began to emerge from the ice around them. Dr. Chen's mind raced, quickly assessing the situation. "We need to adapt our strategy," she said, reaching for the communication device. "Everyone, listen up. We're dealing with a new threat." As Dr. Chen relayed the situation to the rest of the team, Zorn began rifling through the equipment they had brought. "I remember stories of these creatures," he said. "They were said to be sensitive to certain sounds." Dr. Chen's eyes lit up with an idea. We can use that. If we combine your knowledge with our sonic technology, we might be able to create a deterrent. Working quickly, the human Lemnorian team cobbled together makeshift sonic devices, using a combination of Earth technology and Lemnorian wisdom. As the glacial stalkers advanced, they activated the devices, sending out carefully calibrated frequencies. The effect was immediate. The creatures recoiled, their translucent bodies shuddering as the sound waves washed over them. It wasn't a permanent solution, but it gave the rescue team the opening they needed to press forward. Meanwhile, Adam had no idea of the danger that lay behind him. His world had narrowed to the next step, the next breath, the next surge of will needed to keep moving. The icy wind bit at his exposed skin, and his limbs felt leaden, but he refused to give up. As he navigated a particularly treacherous patch of ice, the ground beneath him suddenly gave way. Adam stumbled, nearly losing his grip on Xena. He managed to regain his balance, but as he looked up, he found himself face to face with a sight that took his breath away. Rising before him was a structure of unmistakably Lemnorian design, partially revealed by the shifting ice. Its sleek lines and iridescent material stood in stark contrast to the rugged ice surrounding it. Adam's heart raced as he realized what he had stumbled upon: an ancient Lemnorian outpost. With renewed energy, Adam made his way to the structure's entrance. The door, miraculously preserved by the ice, slid open at his touch. Inside, he found a treasure trove of preserved technology and supplies. Adam's eyes darted around the room, taking in the alien yet somehow familiar designs. His gaze landed on what appeared to be medical equipment. Drawing on his engineering skills and the knowledge he had gained from working with Xena, he began to piece together how the devices worked. With trembling hands, Adam activated one of the medical devices. It hummed to life, its display flickering with symbols he recognized from his time with Xena. He carefully placed Xena on a nearby platform and began the process of stabilizing her condition. As the ancient Lemnorian technology worked its magic, Adam allowed himself a moment of hope. But he knew they weren't out of danger yet. They still needed to rendezvous with the rescue team and get Xena proper medical attention. Little did Adam know that the rescue team was facing challenges of its own. The glacial stalkers, while initially repelled by the sonic deterrents, were becoming bolder. The creatures seemed to be adapting to the sound, their attacks growing more frequent and aggressive. Dr. Chen made the difficult decision to split the team. "Zorn," she said, her voice firm, "take half the team and set up a perimeter defense. We can't risk these creatures following us back to the settlement. The rest of us will continue towards Adam and Xena's location." Zorn nodded, a look of understanding passing between them. As they prepared to separate, Zorn placed a clawed hand on Dr. Chen's shoulder. "Be careful," he said. His normally gruff voice softened with concern. As Zorn's team began setting up defensive positions, Dr. Chen led the remaining vehicles onward. The ice beneath them continued to crack and shift, a constant reminder of the precarious nature of their mission. Back at the Lemnorian settlement, news of the glacial stalkers' reemergence had spread, causing widespread panic. Vex, once a vocal opponent of human presence on Lemnis Prime, now found himself working closely with the human scientists to find a solution. "If we modify the terraforming technology," Vex explained to a mixed group of humans and Lemnorians, "we might be able to create safe zones that the stalkers can't penetrate." His proposal was met with a mix of skepticism and hope. As the details were hashed out, a new sense of unity began to form between the two species. The crisis was forcing them to look past their differences and work together in ways they never had before. As Dr. Chen's team finally approached Adam's location, they found themselves surrounded by a pack of glacial stalkers. The creatures, having followed them despite Zorn's best efforts, now circled the vehicles menacingly. Inside the ancient outpost, Adam heard the commotion outside. He peered through a frost-covered window, his heart sinking as he saw the dire situation unfolding. The rescue team was trapped, their sonic deterrents clearly losing effectiveness as the glacial stalkers drew ever closer. Adam's mind raced, searching for a solution. His eyes fell on the Lemnorian medical device he had used to stabilize Xena. An idea began to form, a desperate, possibly dangerous idea, but one that might just save them all. With a silent apology to the ancient Lemnorians who had built this outpost, Adam began to modify the medical device. He rerouted power systems and adjusted output frequencies, transforming the healing technology into something entirely different. Outside, Dr. Chen watched in horror as a glacial stalker reared up, its massive form looming over their vehicle. The creature's limbs began to descend, ready to crush the metal shell protecting them. Suddenly, a pulse of energy burst from the outpost. It washed over the glacial stalkers, causing them to freeze in place. Their translucent bodies shimmered for a moment before they collapsed, temporarily disabled by the modified Lemnorian technology. Adam emerged from the outpost carrying Xena. "Quick!" he shouted to the stunned rescue team. "It won't last long." As they rushed to evacuate, Adam shared his discovery of the ancient outpost with Dr. Chen. Her eyes widened as she realized the implications of this find. "This could change everything we know about Lemnorian history," she said, her voice filled with excitement despite the dire circumstances. But as they prepared to leave, a loud groan echoed through the ice. The unstable formations, weakened by the recent seismic activity and the energy pulse, were beginning to collapse. The ancient outpost, with all its valuable information and technology, was in danger of being buried forever. Dr. Chen looked at Adam, then at the unconscious Xena in his arms. The choice was clear, but it didn't make it any easier. "We have to go," she said, her voice heavy with regret. "Xena's life takes priority." As they sped away from the collapsing ice formations, Adam couldn't help but look back. The outpost, a priceless piece of Lemnorian history, disappeared from view, swallowed by the shifting ice of Lemnis Prime. The journey back to the settlement was a race against time, with the unconscious Xena's condition deteriorating despite the temporary stabilization. As they traveled, Adam and Dr. Chen witnessed the widespread changes caused by the terraforming device. New vegetation was pushing through the ice, and bodies of water that had been frozen for millennia were beginning to thaw. The landscape of Lemnis Prime was transforming before their eyes, adding a new layer of urgency to their mission. They weren't just saving Xena now, they were racing to understand and adapt to a rapidly changing world. As the settlement came into view, Adam allowed himself a small measure of relief. But he knew that the challenges they faced were just the beginning. The emergence of the glacial stalkers, the discovery of the ancient outpost, and the rapidly changing ecosystem of Lemnis Prime had set the stage for a new chapter in human-Lemnorian relations. With Xena's life hanging in the balance and the fate of two species intertwined as never before, Adam steeled himself for what was to come. As they entered the settlement, the combined human-Lemnorian medical team rushed to meet them, ready to begin their most ambitious collaboration yet, saving Xena's life and, in the process, forging a new future for Lemnis Prime. Prime. As they entered the settlement, Adam's world narrowed to a singular focus: Xena. The medical team swiftly transferred her to the treatment facility, their movements precise and urgent. Adam followed, his heart pounding with each step. Dr. Marcus Reeves, a seasoned physician from Earth, met them at the entrance. His weathered face was set with tenacity as he assessed Xena's condition. "We've prepared a specialized treatment protocol," he explained, guiding them through the facility. "It's a combination of Earth radiation therapy and Lemnorian healing techniques." Lyra, a Lemnorian healer with iridescent scales, nodded in agreement. "We've never attempted this before, but we believe it's our best chance." Adam watched as they transferred Xena to a bed surrounded by unfamiliar equipment. The machines hummed to life, bathing her in a soft, pulsating light. "How long will it take?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Reeves shook his head. "It's hard to say. Her unique physiology presents challenges we've never encountered before. We'll monitor her closely and adjust the treatment as needed." As the medical team worked, Adam found himself torn between staying by Xena's side and addressing the growing glacial stalker threat. Vex approached him, his expression grave. "We need your help, Adam. The stalkers are getting bolder, and we're struggling to keep them at bay." With a last look at Xena's unconscious form, Adam nodded. "What do you need me to do?" Over the next few days, Adam divided his time between the medical facility and the settlement's defense efforts. He worked alongside Vex and human scientists, implementing the modified terraforming technology to create energy barriers around the settlement. The sight of the glacial stalkers recoiling from the shimmering fields brought a small measure of relief to the beleaguered community. During a rare moment of downtime, Adam's mind wandered back to the ancient Lemnorian outpost he'd discovered. An idea began to form, one that might help both Xena and their current situation. He sought out Dr. Chen, finding her in the research lab poring over data from the terraforming device. "Dr. Chen," he said, "I think we need to go back to that outpost. There might be valuable information there that could help us with Xena's treatment and the stalker problem." She looked up, her eyes bright with interest. "You're right. We can't let that knowledge be lost. But the ice formations in that area are highly unstable now. It would be dangerous." Adam nodded. "I know, but I think it's worth the risk. We could assemble a small team, maybe include some Lemnorian scouts who know the terrain." Dr. Chen considered for a moment, then smiled. "I think I know just the person. Zira, the scout you met during your survival trial, has recovered. She's been asking about you." Within hours, they had assembled a team and were speeding across the ice in reinforced vehicles. Zira sat beside Adam, her scaled fingers deftly adjusting the vehicle's controls. "It's good to see you again, Adam," she said, her voice carrying a hint of warmth. "Though I wish it were under better circumstances." As they approached the site of the ancient outpost, the team fell silent. The ice groaned and shifted beneath them, a stark reminder of the danger they faced. Adam led them to the entrance he'd discovered earlier, now partially obscured by fallen ice. "We need to work quickly," he said, activating his suit's built-in lights. "Grab anything that looks important, data storage devices, artifacts, anything that might help us understand Lemnorian history or biology." The team spread out, carefully navigating the dimly lit corridors of the outpost. Adam found himself in what appeared to be a research laboratory filled with unfamiliar equipment and data terminals. As he worked to download information from an ancient console, a triumphant shout echoed through the complex. "Adam, you need to see this!" It was Dr. Chen's voice, filled with excitement. He rushed to her location, finding her standing before a holographic display. The image showed a detailed map of Lemnis Prime, with glowing points indicating what appeared to be other outposts. "This could change everything we know about Lemnorian history," Dr. Chen said, her eyes wide with wonder. As they continued their exploration, they uncovered records of early Lemnorian encounters with other species, including humans. The data confirmed what some had long suspected, that their two races shared a history far deeper than anyone had imagined. But it was Zira who made the most crucial discovery. In a sealed chamber, she found a cache of biological data, including information on Lemnorian adaptations to extreme environments. "This might be exactly what we need for Xena," she said, carefully transferring the data to a portable device. As they worked, the ice around them continued to groan and shift. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the complex. "We need to leave, now!" Adam shouted, grabbing as much data as he could carry. The team scrambled back to their vehicles, the ice crumbling behind them as they sped away. They watched in the rearview mirrors as the ancient outpost disappeared from view, swallowed by the shifting ice of Lemnis Prime. Back at the settlement, the mood was one of cautious optimism. Dr. Reeves and Lyra pored over the biological data, their excitement growing with each new discovery. "This changes everything," Dr. Reeves said, his fingers flying over a holographic keyboard. "With this information, we can refine our treatment protocol for Xena. We might even be able to accelerate her recovery." As the medical team worked to implement the new findings, Adam found himself drawn into discussions about the glacial stalkers. The ancient records revealed that these creatures had once played a crucial role in maintaining the delicate balance of Lemnis Prime's ecosystem. "We've been looking at this all wrong," Vex said, his voice filled with newfound understanding. "The stalkers aren't a threat to be eliminated. They're a part of this world that we need to learn to coexist with." As night fell on the settlement, Adam received the news he'd been waiting for. Xena had regained consciousness and was asking for him. He rushed to the medical facility, his heart racing with anticipation and relief. When he entered her room, Xena's eyes locked onto his. A weak smile spread across her face. "Adam," she whispered, her voice hoarse but filled with warmth, "you look terrible." Adam laughed, tears of joy threatening to spill from his eyes. He took her hand in his, marveling at the strength he felt in her grip. "You should see yourself," he quipped back, his voice thick with emotion. Their moment of reunion was cut short by the blaring of alarms. An urgent message came through the facility's communication system. A massive ice shelf on the far side of the planet had collapsed, threatening a remote Lemnorian outpost. Xena's grip on Adam's hand tightened. "Go," she said, her eyes filled with understanding. "They need you." Adam hesitated, torn between his duty and his desire to stay with Xena. But he knew what he had to do. With a quick squeeze of her hand and a promise to return soon, he turned and raced out of the room, ready to face whatever new challenge awaited him and the alliance he'd helped forge between humans and Lemnorians. As he joined the rapidly assembling rescue team, Adam couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in their shared history. The challenges ahead were daunting, but for the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope that together, they might just be able to overcome them. As Adam raced out of the medical facility, the alarms continued to blare throughout the settlement. He quickly made his way to the command center, where a flurry of activity greeted him. Vex was already there, coordinating with both human and Lemnorian personnel. "Adam, we need you," Vex said, his voice tight with urgency. "A massive ice shelf has collapsed on the far side of the planet. There's a remote Lemnorian outpost in danger." Adam's mind raced, processing the implications. "How many people are we talking about?" "At least 50 Lemnorians," Dr. Chen interjected, stepping into the room. "And the outpost houses critical research on Lemnis Prime's ecosystem." Without hesitation, Adam volunteered to lead the rescue mission. As he began assembling a team, he felt a familiar presence behind him. Turning, he saw Xena, leaning against the doorframe for support. "I'm coming with you," she said, her voice weak but determined. Adam started to protest, but Xena cut him off. "I know the terrain better than anyone, and my knowledge of Lemnorian physiology could be crucial. I'll stay in an advisory role." Recognizing the wisdom in her words, Adam reluctantly agreed. Within the hour, a rescue team was assembled, comprising human scientists led by Dr. Chen and Lemnorian warriors under Vex's command. They boarded a fleet of newly developed hybrid vehicles, a testament to their collaborative efforts. As Adam took the controls of the lead vehicle, he marveled at the seamless integration of human hovercraft technology and Lemnorian cold-resistant materials. The rescue team sped across the changing landscape of Lemnis Prime, the urgency of their mission palpable in the tense silence. As they approached the first major obstacle, a vast field of unstable ice formations, Adam's piloting skills were put to the test. "Watch out for that crevasse," Vex called out, his keen eyes spotting danger. Adam deftly maneuvered the vehicle, narrowly avoiding a hidden fissure in the ice. As they navigated the treacherous terrain, Xena's voice came through the comm system. "There's a pattern to these formations. They're following the path of least resistance as the ice melts." Using this insight, Adam adjusted their course, leading the convoy through safer passages. Halfway through their journey, they encountered an unexpected sight, a group of glacial stalkers moving away from the direction of the collapsed ice shelf. "That's odd," Dr. Chen mused, observing the creatures through the vehicle's view screen. "They seem to be migrating." Adam's mind raced with possibilities. What if they can sense the geological changes? They could be moving away from areas of instability. This revelation added a new dimension to their understanding of Lemnis Prime's ecosystem, but there was no time to dwell on it. The endangered outpost lay ahead, and the situation was dire. As they approached, they saw the full extent of the damage. The collapsing ice shelf had triggered a series of tremors, destabilizing the outpost's foundations. A group of Lemnorians huddled on higher ground, cut off by encroaching ice flows. Adam quickly assessed the situation. "We need to create a path to reach them," he said, his mind already formulating a plan. "The terraforming device, we can use it to create an ice bridge." Xena nodded in agreement. "It's risky, but it's our best option. Someone will need to manually adjust the output at close range." Before Adam could respond, Xena continued, "I'll do it. I have the most experience with the technology, and my physiology can handle the cold better than yours." Adam's heart clenched at the thought of Xena putting herself in danger so soon after her recovery. "No, it's too dangerous. You're still weak from, or—" Their argument was interrupted by a tall, muscular Lemnorian approaching from the group of survivors. "I am Kala, leader of this outpost," she introduced herself. "I propose a compromise. I will assist your Xena. My cold resistance, combined with her technical expertise, gives us the best chance of success." Reluctantly, Adam agreed to the plan. As Xena and Kala made their way towards the collapsing ice shelf with the terraforming device, the rest of the team prepared to guide the survivors across once the bridge was formed. Suddenly, the ice beneath their feet began to tremble. A massive eel-like creature burst through the surface, its segmented body glistening with frost. More followed, their sinuous forms cutting through the ice with terrifying speed. "Cryo-serpents!" Vex shouted, drawing his weapon. "They must have been awakened by the shifting ice." As Vex and his warriors engaged the cryo-serpents, Adam found himself torn between helping Xena and defending against this new threat. Making a split-second decision, he jumped into the nearest hybrid vehicle. "I'll draw them away," he called out, gunning the engine. The cryo-serpents, attracted by the vehicle's vibrations, gave chase. Adam's heart pounded as he pushed the vehicle to its limits, weaving between ice formations and leading the creatures away from the rescue site. His human reflexes, honed by years of piloting experience, allowed him to stay just ahead of the pursuing cryo-serpents. As he led them on a wild chase across the fragile ice field, Adam spotted a natural formation ahead, a deep crevasse partially hidden by overhanging ice. With a daring maneuver, he swerved at the last second, causing the lead cryo-serpent to plunge into the crevasse. The others, following too closely, tumbled in after it. With the immediate threat neutralized, Adam raced back to the rescue site. As he approached, he saw that Xena and Kala had successfully activated the terraforming device. A shimmering bridge of newly formed ice stretched from the high ground to the stranded Lemnorians. Dr. Chen and the rescue team were already guiding the survivors across the bridge. Adam breathed a sigh of relief as he saw the last of the outpost inhabitants reach safety. But their ordeal wasn't over yet. As the final group crossed, a massive tremor shook the area. The ice shelf began to collapse at an alarming rate, threatening to destroy the bridge, with Xena and Kala still on the wrong side. Without hesitation, Adam gunned the engine of his vehicle, racing onto the crumbling ice bridge. He could see Xena and Kala running towards him, the ice disintegrating behind them with each step. "Jump!" Adam yelled as he brought the vehicle alongside them. With a desperate lunge, Xena and Kala leapt aboard. Adam immediately reversed course, the vehicle's engines straining as they sped away from the collapsing shelf. They made it to solid ground just as the last of the ice bridge crumbled away. For a moment, everyone stood in stunned silence, the full weight of their narrow escape settling in. As the adrenaline began to fade, Adam found himself beside Xena, their hands unconsciously intertwined. They exchanged a look that spoke volumes, relief, gratitude, and something deeper that neither was quite ready to name. The successful rescue had strengthened the bonds between humans and Lemnorians, but it had also revealed the extent of the challenges they faced. As they prepared for the journey back to the main settlement, Adam knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in their shared history on Lemnis Prime. Prime. The convoy of rescue vehicles moved swiftly across the icy terrain, carrying the rescued Lemnorians and the exhausted but triumphant team back to the main settlement. As they approached, Adam couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment, tempered with the knowledge that their challenges were a long way to go. The news of their successful mission had spread quickly, and a crowd had gathered at the settlement's entrance to welcome them. Humans and Lemnorians alike cheered as the vehicles came to a stop, their voices rising in a cacophony of celebration that echoed across the icy landscape. As Adam helped Xena out of the vehicle, he noticed the way the crowd's eyes lingered on them. There was a new energy in the air, a sense of possibility that hadn't been there before. He exchanged a glance with Xena, seeing his own mix of excitement and apprehension mirrored in her eyes. Dr. Chen approached them, her face beaming with pride. "You've done it," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "This rescue, it's changed everything." Before Adam could respond, a group of settlement leaders approached, their faces serious despite the celebratory atmosphere. Among them was Counselor Jarvik, a respected elder among the Lemnorians. Adam, Xena, Jarvik began, his voice carrying a weight of authority. Your actions today have demonstrated the power of our alliance. We believe it's time to take the next step in our cooperation. Adam raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What did you have in mind? Jarvik gestured for them to follow, leading them away from the crowd and towards the settlement's central administrative building. As they walked, he outlined a bold new proposal, the establishment of a joint human-Lemnorian council to govern Lemnis Prime. We want you both to be part of this, Jarvik explained as they entered a large conference room. Adam, we'd like you to serve as the human ambassador. Xena, you would represent Lemnorian interests. Adam's mind raced with the implications. He looked at Xena, seeing the same mix of surprise and consideration on her face. Before either of them could respond, however, the door burst open, and a tall, imposing Lemnorian stormed in. This is outrageous, the newcomer exclaimed, her voice sharp with anger. You cannot make such decisions without consulting the people. Jarvik sighed, a look of resigned frustration crossing his features. Adam, Xena, this is Cora. She has concerns about the pace of our alliance. Cora's eyes narrowed as she looked at Adam and Xena. Concerns? Our entire way of life is at stake. We cannot allow humans to dictate the future of Lemnis Prime. The room erupted into heated debate, with Cora's supporters clashing verbally with those who favored closer cooperation. Adam found himself at the center of the storm, trying to mediate between the factions. As the argument intensified, Adam felt a hand on his arm. He turned to see Xena, her expression calm despite the chaos around them. She nodded towards the door, and they slipped out of the room, leaving the others to their heated discussion. In the relative quiet of the hallway, Xena spoke softly. This won't be easy, Adam. Cora speaks for many who fear change. Adam nodded, his mind already working on potential solutions. We need to show them that cooperation doesn't mean losing their identity. It means creating something new, something better. A spark of inspiration lit Xena's eyes. What if we created a place where both cultures could truly blend? A settlement that showcases the best of both worlds? Adam's excitement grew as he considered the idea. A fusion settlement, it could serve as a living example of what we can achieve together. Their discussion was interrupted by Dr. Chen, who approached with awe-inspiring excitement. Adam, Xena, you need to see this, she said, gesturing for them to follow her to the research wing. In the lab, Dr. Chen and her Lemnorian colleague, Zorn, revealed their latest findings. We've discovered a pattern in the awakening of the glacial stalkers and cryoserpents, Zorn explained, pointing to a complex holographic model. It's tied to Lemnis Prime's orbital variations. Adam leaned in, studying the model intently. This could be crucial for predicting future environmental shifts, he mused. As they discussed the implications of this discovery, Adam's mind kept returning to the idea of the fusion settlement. He saw an opportunity to address multiple challenges at once, showcasing cooperation, advancing scientific understanding, and preparing for environmental changes. With rekindled willpower, Adam turned to Xena. We need to present our fusion settlement idea to the council. It could be the key to bridging the divide. Xena nodded, her expression resolute. Agreed, but we'll need to choose the location carefully, somewhere significant to both our peoples. Adam's eyes lit up as an idea struck him. What about near the ancient Lemnorian outpost we discovered? It's a place of historical importance, and it's far enough from the main settlement to give us room to experiment. As they began to outline their proposal, Adam felt a surge of hope. Despite the challenges ahead, he believed that this fusion settlement could be the first step towards a truly united future for humans and Lemnorians on Lemnis Prime. With Xena by his side, Adam set out to gather support for their ambitious plan, knowing that the path ahead would be fraught with political maneuvering, cultural clashes, and unforeseen obstacles. But as they walked together through the bustling settlement, the seeds of a new era for Lemnis Prime were already taking root. The seeds of a new era for Lemnis Prime were already taking hold, growing stronger with each passing day. As weeks turned into months, Adam and Xena worked tirelessly to bring their vision of a fusion settlement to life. The ancient Lemnorian outpost they had discovered became the centerpiece of their ambitious project, a symbol of the past and future intertwined. The day of their bonding ceremony arrived, marking not just their personal union, but the culmination of their efforts to bridge the gap between humans and Lemnorians. The restored ruins of the outpost, now a harmonious blend of ancient architecture and cutting-edge technology, served as the perfect backdrop for this historic event. Adam stood at the center of the ruins, his heart racing with anticipation. He wore a carefully crafted outfit that combined elements of human formal wear with Lemnorian ceremonial garb. The fabric shimmered with an iridescent quality reminiscent of Xena's scales, a testament to the melding of their two cultures. A hush fell over the gathered crowd as Xena appeared. She moved with grace, her scales catching the light of Lemnis Prime's twin moons and casting a mesmerizing array of colors across the ancient stones. Adam's breath caught in his throat. What he had once perceived as alien and strange now filled him with awe and admiration. As Xena approached, Adam saw the same wonder reflected in her eyes. Their journey together had transformed them both, reshaping their perceptions and deepening their connection in ways neither could have imagined. The officiator, a respected elder from both communities, stepped forward to begin the ceremony. But before he could speak, a commotion erupted at the edge of the gathering. Cora, flanked by a group of dissenting Lemnorians, pushed her way through the crowd. "Stop this farce!" Cora shouted, her voice ringing out across the ruins. "We cannot allow our culture to be diluted by human influence." Chaos erupted as Cora's supporters clashed with those who favored the alliance. The carefully orchestrated ceremony devolved into a scene of shouting and shoving, threatening to undo months of progress in mere moments. Adam and Xena exchanged a quick glance, their unspoken communication honed by months of working side by side. Without hesitation, they moved in unison towards a control panel hidden within the ruins. With practiced precision, they activated the ancient Lemnorian technology that they had painstakingly restored. A shimmering energy field sprang to life, separating the warring factions and bringing the conflict to an abrupt halt. Silence fell over the ruins as both humans and Lemnorians stared in awe at the display of power. Adam seized the moment, his voice amplified by the ruins' acoustic properties. "Look around you," he began, his words echoing across the suddenly still gathering. "This place, these ruins, they tell a story of a civilization that thrived on this world long before we arrived. But they also speak of potential, of what we can achieve when we combine our knowledge and strengths." Xena stepped forward, her voice blending seamlessly with Adam's. "We stand at a crossroads," she continued. "We can choose to remain divided, clinging to old ways and old fears. Or we can embrace change, learning from each other and building something greater than either of our species could achieve alone." As they spoke, a low rumble began to reverberate through the ground. The crowd's attention shifted, fear replacing anger, as massive forms began to emerge from the surrounding ice fields. Glacial stalkers, their crystalline bodies glinting in the moonlight, surrounded the ruins. Panic threatened to overtake the gathering, but Adam and Xena remained calm. Their experiences had taught them to look beyond initial appearances, to seek understanding rather than react with fear. "Wait," Adam called out, his voice steady. "Observe their behavior. They're not attacking, they're warning us." Xena nodded, her scientific mind already analyzing the situation. "The glacial stalkers are responding to something. Another geological event, perhaps?" Without hesitation, Adam and Xena began organizing a joint team of humans and Lemnorians to investigate. As they worked together, the earlier conflict faded into the background, replaced by a shared sense of purpose and curiosity. The team moved swiftly, guided by the glacial stalkers' movements. Their investigation led them to a nearby ice field, where sensors detected unusual seismic activity. As they analyzed the data, a startling revelation emerged. "The planet's core!" Xena exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "It's stabilizing!" Adam leaned in, studying the readouts. "The combination of our terraforming efforts and the natural orbital cycle, it's triggering a planet-wide transformation." As the implications of their discovery sank in, a sense of awe settled over the group. Humans and Lemnorians alike realized that they were witnessing a pivotal moment in the planet's history, one that they could only fully understand and navigate by working together. Cora, who had followed the investigation team, stepped forward. Her earlier hostility had given way to a look of wonder and realization. I was wrong, she admitted, her voice thick with emotion. This alliance, this cooperation, it's not just about our two species. It's about the future of Lemnis Prime itself. Adam and Xena exchanged a look of hope. The planet's transformation had opened a door, creating an opportunity for true understanding and unity. As they prepared to return to the ruins and resume their interrupted ceremony, they knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in the story of Lemnis Prime, one that would be written together by humans and Lemnorians alike.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.